The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Hello, folks. You're listening to P.P. Simmons Radio. Carl Gallup's your host on this June the 5th, 2013. My guest this afternoon is lead investigator Mike Zullo of the Cold Case Posse, Joe Arpaio, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Obama fraud case. Mike Zullo, I had you on the show today because there's still a few questions out there regarding this Obama Social Security number issue. I think the vast majority of our listeners and readers and subscribers, they get it. They get it now. You and Don Jeffrey have educated us and enlightened us in this issue. But sadly, other people, even people who claim to have massive credentials, don't seem to get it. As a matter of fact, it was just on Orly Taitz website today, reading, I just want to read a paragraph to you here. Apparently Joe Arpaio has just made an arrest out in Maricopa County for people using fake Social Security numbers, and Orly Taitz and some of the others have gone crazy on this, claiming why can't he make an arrest in the Obama fraud Social Security. So let me read this paragraph to you, Mike, and then I'd like to get your comment on it and your elucidation for our listeners. All right, the quote from Orly Taitz site says, Arpaio arrests 28 people for using fake Social Security numbers, saying it is a Class 4 felony, and stating that he is trying to help the president and the country due to unemployment, yet through his sidekicks, Zullo and Jeffries, he claims that Obama's use of a stolen Social Security number is not a crime. Shame, Orly says. Demand that Arpaio stop playing games and file a criminal complaint against Obama, first and foremost for using a stolen Social Security number as well as forged IDs as a basis for his identity while running for the U.S. president. Seems like this is apples and oranges to me, Mike. How about explaining this to us? Orly is saying that because Arpaio just arrested 28 people for using fake Social Security numbers in Maricopa County, that he should do the same thing on Obama. Explain to us why that is an absolute absurdity.
You know, Carl, this is really mind-boggling to me. This woman professes to be an attorney, and attorneys are very skilled at picking apart words in sentences to draw connections. And if you look at what she says here, Sheriff Arpaio arrested these people for using Social Security numbers, and that's an operative word there, using Social Security numbers.
Right.
They used falsely acquired Social Security numbers for identity purposes in order to gain illegal employment. That's a criminal act. Mr. Obama, for all intents and purposes, has not committed a crime here in Maricopa County or the state of Arizona regarding his Social Security number.
Right.
And the law, real quick, the law is very clear that in order for there to be a complaint or charges, there first needs to be a crime.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I've got so much to say too, but they want to hear.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well,
Carl.
I was just
cut that out. Just go ahead.
Okay, but I was just going to say, so the whole matter comes down to jurisdiction. In other words, these 28 people that Arpaio just arrested, he arrested them because they used those Social Security numbers in Maricopa County to gain employment. That is a felony. But we don't have any record of Obama using his Social Security number in Maricopa County. So Arpaio can't go file charges on Obama because that's out of his jurisdiction in this case. Isn't that so?
That's correct. Apparently she doesn't understand what jurisdiction means. And the offense would have to take place in Maricopa County for the Maricopa County Sheriff to act upon it. Our neighboring county, Pinell, if there were people running around in Pinell County with phony Social Security numbers, Sheriff Arpaio has no jurisdiction across that county line to conduct any investigation or make any arrests on that matter.
Right.
That's called jurisdiction. And that's every place in every county throughout the country.
Right. And as a matter of fact, I don't guess it's illegal, for example, for me to have in my wallet a Social Security card with a number that's not mine on it. Right here in the county in Florida in which I live, I can have that in my wallet, and that's not illegal. Now, if I produce it as a form of identification in my county, or if I try to get a job with it, or if I try to get financial benefit with it, then I've committed a felony, and then the local sheriff can arrest me for falsely using that Social Security card. However, the sheriff has no authority just to go around checking in my wallet to see if he can't just walk up to me on the street and say, "Hey, Carl, let me see your Social Security card. I want to make sure you're using the correct Social Security number." Isn't that scenario correct, what I just said?
I believe it is. It's no different than you having your wife's Social Security number in your wallet. That's not your number.
Right.
And as long as you know that that's not your number and you don't try to use it to gain a benefit, you having that number, you've committed no offense in this county, or any other county for that matter.
Absolutely. Now there are those saying, yes, but we know that Obama's used this Social Security number on his tax forms, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what you have explained and what Don Jeffrey has explained and what I've tried to explain to people is, number one, legally for courtroom evidence, we don't know that he has used that number for tax records. I mean, we've got some computer screenshots, we've got computer runs, and that's all kind of prima facie, but that's not 100% courtroom ready evidence. So further investigation from the Social Security Administration, perhaps IRS, etc., would be required. Of course, the problem is those agencies fall under the jurisdiction, if you will. Obama's their boss. So it would be very difficult for us to say, okay, Obama's using a number on his tax forms, therefore let's go arrest him. So what has to happen, since there is some mystery, we admit there is mystery surrounding this number that he's supposedly using, that's why we're pushing for a congressional investigation, because Congress can get that information and they can do something with it. Am I correct about that?
You're correct. The number appears on the 2009 tax return, and it also appears on the 1980 Selective Service card, which we do believe there's some tampering gone on there. However, that doesn't mean that Social Security number was stolen by the President of the United States. We don't know how it was acquired. We don't know for sure if it was issued to him or not. There is no agency, federal or state, that has come forth and said, we never issued this number to this gentleman.
Right.
There's nobody saying that, and until that happens, we have no offense.
Absolutely. Well, I really don't know how much clearer you and investigator Jeffrey could be on this. I'm certainly not the expert you guys are, but I've repeated this over and over again since I've been educated in this matter. And I don't know how you could be any clearer, but I guess what we want our listeners to know, and I know a lot of people are going to hear this, is that yes, there is mystery. There are some anomalies surrounding this supposed Social Security number that Obama's using, but what we know for sure, what we know with 100% certainty, is that the only identifying document he's ever proffered to the nation to identify who he is, that long-form birth certificate that was posted on the White House website, that is a 100% fabrication and forgery. So if we can get Congress to pick it up there, and then from there look into the Social Security number, from there look into the Selective Service number, I mean, they can probably weave this whole thing together and determine if this guy is one big identity fraud or if there have been some honest mistakes made. But only Congress can really unravel this, and this is why you and Arpaio have been insisting on a congressional investigation from the beginning. Is that correct?
That's correct. And let me add something else too, Carl. There's the other show we did, we talked about what an inference is. There are people trying to draw a parallel between the fraudulent document that we have on the birth certificate and trying to make the jump or the conclusion that because that's fraudulent, therefore the Social Security number is fraudulent. We know that the birth certificate is fraudulent. However, we don't know what information was concealed, changed, added, or removed to that document yet. We just know it was created. So you can't make these conclusions yet. You have to know. For all we know, and I know people don't want to hear this, for all we know, that could be his Social Security number.
Right.
We just don't know. And banging the drum to get a complaint filed, which is something Orly Taitz continues to do. I am sorry that she's so entrenched in this. I know she's had 20-some-odd court cases on this very issue, and maybe now she's feeling very threatened. But one thing we determined that we were going to do early on in this is if we could clear the president, we were going to clear the president. If there's something that is factually incorrect, and people want to keep lumping us in as operatives for the controlled opposition, we are going to tell you the truth.
Right.
And the truth is there is not enough evidence to convict him for jaywalking on this issue, let alone anything else.
Right. And you guys are not going to throw away the case that you do have by coming up with some nefarious complaint just because you've got pressure to do so. I mean, you guys are professional law enforcement, and you know what to do, and you're going to follow the correct legal tact.
That's what we're going to do. And I think from this moment on, I think we've discussed this ad nauseum. This is our position. And for Orly Taitz or those that are so entrenched in this issue with her, I highly recommend you continue your own investigation and get to the bottom of it and deal with it by bringing complaints yourself if you think you have this. But there is no crime here. And if you took Orly Taitz's information, what she's presented in courtrooms, and you went to a county prosecutor, he will not do anything with that information.
Right.
Because that's all it is information.
Right. And
there's no evidence of a crime.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just going to tag team here and jump in because I've said this before and I want to say it again. If I misspeak, please correct me. But I would say to Orly Taitz and those that are following her in this matter, look, Ms. Taitz, I know you and respect you. However, if you think that you have the criminal evidence in this Social Security potential fraud, then take what you have and go file the charges, just like Lieutenant Zullo just said. I mean, why is it incumbent upon Sheriff Arpaio and Mike Zullo to file charges on something that they do not have? If you say you have it, then go file the charges. I think it's very telling, Mike, that she claims to be the world's leading authority in this, but yet doesn't seem to get the basics of the legal requirements and doesn't seem to get that if she's got what she says she has, she can file charges.
Well, it's criminal law 101. And you know, she's chosen to take this, and because she has to, into the civil arena. And let me just point this out. The statutory requirement, or I shouldn't say statutory requirement, the requirement for evidence in a civil proceeding is clear and convincing. You can't take those computer runs and get by with clear and convincing evidence. You just can't. They don't lead you anywhere. There is no conclusion. They stop short of their investigation and are trying to create an illusion of conclusion.
Right.
And there is no conclusion to that.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know how much clearer you can be. We're going to have to wrap this up. Mike Zullo, thank you again for your time. I know you're super busy, and I know this has to be awfully aggravating to you, but you've been so gracious and so patient to let me call you up and to get you on the air. But I think it's important work that you're doing. It's great that you're able to clear this stuff up. God bless you, Mike. We're following everything that you and Sheriff Arpaio are doing. Cold Case Posse, our prayers are with you, and thank you for being on P.P. Simmons today.
Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome. Well, folks, you have been listening to P.P. Simmons Radio. Your host, Carl Gallups, today on this June the 5th, 2013. Our guest this afternoon has been Mike Zullo, lead investigator, Cold Case Posse, Obama fraud case. Stay tuned to P.P. Simmons News and Radio, and we'll keep you posted as information breaks. God bless you. Do you ever wish that you could more powerfully, succinctly, and accurately speak to the message of your Christian faith and the Word of God? This is the book you need, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. This book has been featured on TBN, Atlanta Live, dozens of radio programs, and hundreds of markets. It was rave reviewed by the Washington Times, and it was called a must-read book. Considering the times in which we now live, you need this book. Get it today on Amazon.com or the WND Superstore.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.